Thank you, Senator Warnock.
Thank you very much, Brother Chairman. Secretary Bessent, Georgians are deeply worried about the economy. Costs continue to skyrocket for families. Markets are volatile. Investors are dumping U.S. Treasuries. The warning lights in our bond market are flashing, and Moody's just downgraded our credit rating for the first time in over 100 years. While this administration's tariffs policies are largely responsible, the $30 trillion national debt is still the biggest long-term threat to our economy. Just last year, we paid nearly $1 trillion in interest on the debt alone, more than the federal government spent on educating and feeding our children. Secretary Bessent, are you concerned about the trillions this Republican tax bill will add to the debt?
I am concerned about the stock of debt that we inherited. And Senator, I'm going to have to correct you. Costs have not skyrocketed. We had the first decrease in inflation in April. The inflation numbers this week were 0.1%. 0.1%. Markets are up on the year in the U.S. Tariff income is substantial. And the U.S. is the only major bond market where the 10-year yield, the 10-year yield is lower now than it was on January 1st.
You don't
not
agree?
Germany, not Japan.
Sir, you don't agree that this is going to add trillions to the debt? I didn't say that is your testimony. I think I heard it earlier. I'm looking at numbers from the right-leaning Tax Foundation, which says the bill will increase the debt by $1.7 trillion. That's the right-leaning Tax Foundation that says that. The Conservative Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says that the cost is up to $5 trillion, and the nonpartisan CBO, which has served as an inconvenient reality check for both parties, says that the bill will cost $3 trillion.
No, sir, it says 2.4, and it also says there'll be 2.8 trillion of tariff income.
So they all agree that this is going to add trillions of dollars to the national debt. Here's the thing. I think most Democrats, including me, support extending the 2017 tax cuts for the middle class and for the working class. In fact, I think we should go further than this Republican bill on the child tax credit. You talked earlier about children. I think we ought to center children. We ought to take on child poverty in this country, which we did when we passed the expanded child tax credit. We are just not willing, I'm certainly not willing, to cut 16 million people, up to 16 million people off of health care and explode the debt to give tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. 71% of the people on Medicaid in Georgia are children, 71%. If we extended the tax cut for those making, for everybody except those making over $400,000, we wouldn't have to be kicking all of these people off of health care. We wouldn't have to have these huge cuts.
Senator,
let me finish.
I will.
Well, let me finish. We wouldn't have to cut all of these people off of SNAP. We wouldn't have to cut all of these people off of health care if we would extend the tax cuts for everybody except those making over $400,000 a year. Now, that is what Congress should do, and I think that's what it did when it was extending the Bush tax cuts in 2012. It was a bipartisan deal, reasonable, cut taxes for everybody except the wealthiest Americans. Secretary Bessent, if Republicans fail to pass their big, ugly bill, would you be willing to work with Congress on a Plan B bipartisan tax bill, one that extends the Trump tax cuts for everybody but the wealthiest, so that we don't have to kick 16 million people off of health care and take food from hungry children?
Well, sir, I believe the bill will pass, and I believe that everything you've talked about decimates small business, and one of the reasons that we have seen Main Street not flourish is the lack of certainty, because the propensity of small business owners make more than $400,000, and they file through the 1099 program, so they could be in the 800 to 1.5 billion range. I want to see small business flourish, not more government dependency, Senator.
I think kicking 16 million people off of health care is a drag on the economy. It's a drag on small businesses. And I can quickly tell you that in Georgia, where they're doing this work reporting requirements program, and that's what it is, it's reporting. They're not incentivizing work. They're kicking people off of health care. Most of the costs have gone towards the administration of the program. We got 500,000 people in the health care coverage gap. They've covered 7,000 people. I think that's pathetic, and I think we can do better than that.
Well, I do too. I think able-bodied people should work.
We certainly shouldn't replicate that to the whole country.
I think able-bodied people should work. I think the benefit should go to Americans. And as you said, if 75% of
the way to help able-bodied people to work is not to take their health care, sir. Thank you so much.